Make sure my phone.
Welcome to Women in Paint. Whether your paint story is dripless or an old school mix of project management, business ownership, or modern estimation, the stories of women in paint are now part of the industry's rising success. We'll educate, encourage, and promote diversity and gender equality by giving you a behind-the-scenes look at our proven skills, business acumen, and driving force that propels anyone to find meaningful opportunities and a career path that challenges lives through paint. Now let's welcome your host, Michael Cheney.
Welcome to the show. My name is Michael Cheney. I'm the owner of No Drip Painting, where we are changing lives through paint. I've got Miss Renae Luketic.
Nailed it.
I nailed it. I've got her on with me, and this is going to be a fun show because we're talking about EOS. She is an EOS implementer. She works with business owners, and actually working with business owners, I hear, is one of your favorite things to do. So Renae, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, we're going to just rock and roll right from the jump. Yep. So first, let's just give a quick intro to what is EOS, and then we're going to circle back and figure out why this is your passion in life. So for those that don't know, what is EOS? Break it down for us.
Yeah, so EOS stands for Entrepreneurial Operating System. And I always like to tell people, if they've never heard of it, this is not technology. They hear operating system and they're like, this is like Windows, Mac, what's happening? It is not those things. It is actually harnessing the human energy of your team and really gaining some clarity on these 6 key components of any business. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, it helps you get a grip on your business. And we'll talk through in a minute kind of what those 6 key components are and why they're life-changing to the entrepreneur.
Very good. I'm glad you clarified the whole tech piece to that, because I think, you know, sometimes those acronyms do get a little scary. But tell us why is this your passion? I know you're super passionate about it and you're looking forward to presenting at the Women in Paint event, but why is this your jam in life?
Yeah, you know, I would totally do this for free. I'm glad I don't have to, but I totally would. You're right. I'm kind of a geek about it. I think with my background of like leadership and business coach, and I just have this heart for operations. I like to say I have this like visionary for operations type gift. I love to see things happen that people just dream about. And when I was introduced to the book Traction, which is the introduction to all things EOS, I thought, where has this book been my entire life? My brain like thinks this way. This is totally trainable. I can get people as geeked up about this kind of stuff as me. And so I implemented it into 2 companies that I was the integrator for. And I just thought, wow, it just kept coming back to my passions of helping people, leadership development, business. I could do this full time and just see transformations in so many more companies. And so I just took a risk as an entrepreneur myself and said, this is what I see like my best life being, of getting people to do this. It's it's a huge passion for sure.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And you know what? You use the word integrator, and we're going to come back to that because I'll be honest, that's not my strong suit in life. I won't reveal everything about that right now because I'm interested to see what you have in store for us. So let's go ahead and kick off this conversation. Guide me through this. Where do you want to start with EOS? What is the first item we want to talk about when we're talking about these 6 components?
So I think the first thing that I just kind of want to touch on that ties into your last question a little bit is why I love working with entrepreneurs. And the reason why going into these 6 key components are so crucial is that sometimes entrepreneurs, you know, they're risk takers. They're the people that have, you know, decided like, hey, I can be a solution finder, or I want to go out and, you know, start my own business to live my best life. And so I already love that. But what sort of tends to happen is they're like, how do I get all of this vision in my head that can sort of be chaotic in a good way? But how do I get that in a way that's like scalable, that I haven't just bought myself a job? Because that's what happens as entrepreneurs. We start out, we bought ourselves a job. And then we're like, okay, how do we move and transition our minds into that we're business owners? And how does that become an asset that we actually get to live the life we wanted of why we even started a business? And there's this weird transition piece that entrepreneurs want that, but they end up becoming their own bottleneck because they aren't sure where to go. They have a great product. They have a passion for what they do. And they're like, I'm stuck. I don't know how to get out of this. And so that's really where we see EOS really making such a big impact for them, because it gives them this roadmap to simplify things, to get out of our own heads, to systematize it, to either make it scalable. Maybe they want to add franchises, add bigger teams. It doesn't matter what it is, but also for them to actually live what they want from their business, right? To get everything that they want from it. And so some of the struggles that I see entrepreneurs having is that we call it entrepreneurial quicksand, right? That they struggle when they hit this point of complexity. They're like, okay, do I grow? Like, I don't even know how to get there. And sometimes they grow so fast that their systems and processes and their leadership hasn't caught up. Right. And so that's really a lot of times when I'm talking to people, and I'll talk to the entrepreneur and they explain what issues they have. And I'm like, oh, you're the bottleneck. And they're like, oh, I am. I'm like, it's so common because you're in this transition of becoming a business owner, not just having a job that you own. And so when we bring in EOS, and I'll go over these 6 key components here, that's where the game changer starts to happen. They're like, oh, I don't have to be this bottleneck anymore. And they get to see the dream that they can build up this leadership team, that they can trust them with this vision and dream that they built when they started their business, and know that it's okay, that they can transition to what that looks like.
And that all this is normal. I mean, I like to sometimes just give voice to the fact that, listen, sometimes this is hard, right? It's why most people don't become entrepreneurs, and it's okay that it's hard. And I'm really excited about what you're going to lay out for us, because when you talk about bottleneck, that resonates with me. I find that throughout different phases of my business, I'm become the bottleneck again.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and dig into this. We've got vision as the first of the 6 key components. So talk to us about what is the vision all about.
So, vision is that making sure that is what's stuck in that owner, founder, visionary's head, right? It's like, I have a dream, but nobody else knows what that dream is, or they know parts of it, or they've come up with what they think your dream is for your business, right? And so there's this huge disconnect that starts happening. And so we help people get 100% strong in this vision component, which just means that every single team member, and just remember too, that this doesn't matter if these are full-time employees or subcontractors, doesn't matter. We want everybody that is moving the needle in our company and providing great service to be on the same page. 100% of what the vision is, where we're going, and actually the plan to get there. And so many times people will go to like a conference and people are like, oh, you need core values, or you need a mission statement. And they try to like borrow off their neighbor's homework. It's like our middle schooler comes out. Do you know what I mean? And we're like, oh, what'd you put for question 1? What are your core values? What's your mission statement? And the thing with EOS, like, stop taking other people's vision. It is yours. It's for your business. It's great to have peer groups, but like, this is you. You want everybody that works with you to actually have your core culture, and they know where you're going. What's your 1, 3, 10 year? Like, what are we working for as a team? And so that vision component, even building out your accountability chart, like, what are the roles that the team members are sitting in, that you don't micromanage them. I always joke, EOS ran companies, middle schoolers can't work there. Do you know what I mean? Like, we don't want to be an accidental nonprofit, right? We are like, this is your role. This is where we're going. And we want you to boss this seat like it is your own company. And so that's what happens when the vision component is so strong, that owner doesn't have 2 a.m. thoughts of like all the worry mind map. It's like, no, we totally have control over this. And I know exactly where we're going and how my team is going to help me get there.
Yeah.
So
And you know what? I love that you included subcontractors in there, because I think sometimes at least within the painting industry, subcontractors, even though they're needed, we of course view them as part of the team. There's sometimes this disconnect,
yeah,
and you're saying, no, they need to be on board with the vision. They need to understand where your business is going to, because they're an essential piece of the puzzle.
they are. And, they are. And I love working with home service companies. I realized that this is apparently my niche because I love home service companies. And here's what I think that home service companies need to remember is that even when you're working with subcontractors, they are representing you on
Yes.
every job, every interaction. And if they don't have what your core values are and they don't know what's important to you, that you're actually fire subcontractors with those same things, there's a huge disconnect, and you're kind of shooting yourself in the foot for sure.
Yeah, you know what? We already talked about this, but at some point we're going to do a series, because we could spend a whole show
Oh,
talking about vision.
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on to the second key component, and that is people. All right, give me the rundown on people. I know we got to get the right people in the right seats, but
Yeah.
man, how do we
Yeah.
do it? Sometimes it's so difficult.
It is so difficult. And sometimes, that whole thing, whether you're trying to exercise, you're trying to, get a grip on your business, doesn't matter. There's reels everywhere saying pick your hard, right?
Mm.
Pick your hard. And when it comes to our people issues, it actually comes down from that vision component of, hey, what are your core values? Those right people are people that fit your culture like a glove. You're like, they represent my company and who I am so well. So those are your right people. Your right seats are, they do their job like nobody's business. They do their job like it is their business. And that's what
Right?
we want. And you've got to have that combo. And sometimes people get a little wimpy. Okay, let's just say wimpy, because that's what we do. We're fear-based, or we get wimpy, or we're overwhelmed. And we're like, well, they do a good job. They don't represent us well with clients or the team, but okay, that butt will kill you. Right.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like we have to get off of our butt and make a change. And so I just really push, leadership teams of, you got to have the right people and right seat. It's got to be those two things. And it is hard to get there a little bit until that's your new normal. For sure.
Right. That's great. Well, and what I find, and I'm speaking from experience here, is that, often when you're just getting started, you're hiring out of urgency and like dire necessity, right? Which is not the best place to be. And you don't have a real recruiting process, because look, you start a business, you're still learning, and you've got so much to learn about people, including yourself. And so, my mistakes, there's a whole list of them, but early on it was hiring out of a sense of urgency, and then honestly hiring with my heart and wanting to give people an opportunity versus hiring with some business sense. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah. And it's a lot of times I'll get asked like, hey, what size company do I need to be to put EOS into place?
Mm,
Right. And
yeah.
so I'm like, the day you decide to have one, for real. It's like, imagine, I talk to my clients who are now at a point that they want to pay someone like me to help implement, right?
Right.
But like, I wish I would have started my business when it was just me,
Yeah.
knowing these principles and like building that way. And so I think that that is the biggest advice that I can give people, that even if you were a 1-2 person crew, these principles work, and you can start putting the EOS framework into your business now and just scaling it. And then at some point, hey, you've got a larger leadership team and you need someone like me that to come in to help coach you, to keep you on track and all of those types of things. But out of the gate, to your point, learning this, setting it up well, and onboarding those subcontractors and new team members, making sure that they're the right people, right seat, because it's going to cost you so much time and headache later on. Yeah.
Lots of gray hair. It's cost me lots of gray hair, Renae. All right, let's talk data. And I know this is going to be about reporting and tracking. Talk to me about how important data is.
So I find that when people hear the word data that they either are like so excited and they're like, okay, now I'm listening, or they just want to go in the fetal position and curl up. Like those are usually the two things that happen because they're like, I hate numbers, or I'm so overwhelmed. I don't even know where to go with that. And
Right.
so it's actually not that hard. Our own head trash makes it a little bit harder, right?
Mhm.
Is when we use the system that we have of like working backwards of what do you want to get from your business and what are our weekly action items that will actually get there, right? So when we work on our getting 100% strong in our data component, it helps us track real data that actually matters, right? And there's a little learning curve to that, absolutely, of mastering what that actually is. And it
Mhm.
helps you as a business owner make decisions off of what's actually real and not how we're feeling that day, because we have
Yeah.
entrepreneur overwhelm, which is real life, of those, oh, well, hey, I really want to help this person, but
Mhm.
the data says they're actually not good at their job or they're not
Right.
representing you well. And so just so many things. And so that data component helps you run business off of real numbers instead of those emotions that sort of change from day to day, and actually track the stuff that matters. And so we help our clients really find what that is for their company, their
Right.
individual company. Yep. So a
Now,
company scorecard and then departmental or crew scorecards, right? Like each crew, like what are we measuring them on when they're out in the field representing you on
man,
jobs?
so important. And, I think that's what gives you power, right?
Yeah.
When you know what's going on, you feel so much more in control and so much more powerful. I know that's at least my experience.
Yeah.
So no, this is great. And I just want to say for those listening, we are going to be blowing through this today, but no worries, because we're going to take a deep dive into this at some other point. So we've talked vision, people, data. Next on the list, we've got issues.
Yeah.
What are the issues?
Yeah, so imagine a world, everyone's like, oh, I have so many of those issues. What do I do with them? Maybe she's going to give me this secret bullet, right? This magical, answer. Really, I just want to imagine a world where you have your vision 100% on the same page. You
Mhm.
know where you're going, how you plan to get there. Your team's on the same page. You've got the right people, the right seats. You got great data. You know exactly what you should be
Yeah.
doing, what you're measuring. Well, guess what happens? All those things are awesome, but it starts to make everything really transparent and clear, which is great.
Mhm.
However, it highlights every issue that we
Mm.
have. And that's actually how we know the first three are working. That's actually a
Okay.
great thing. So imagine that everybody in your company, again, from subcontractors to the owner, is in an EOS company, that they have the authority to
Mhm.
call out an issue anytime they see it. And there's a place for it to be
Right.
solved so it goes away forever. And so when we talk about issues in the EOS world, it's not negative. They are opportunities for growth. Maybe you're
Mm.
like, wow, this commercial thing keeps popping up. Maybe that's how I get to my next step of growth in my business. Maybe I need to really learn about, commercial painting. How do I get
Mhm.
contracts? What kind of team do I run? Like all of these types of things. Maybe it is you're not getting the 5-star Google reviews that you know you need, right?
Yes.
It's the best thing we can do for advertising is just do really good work and give people opportunity to give those reviews. Okay, that's an issue. Why aren't we getting them? Or do we not have a great system for them? Or why are we getting complaints on one crew, right? So there's
Yeah.
all these types of things. And so we want a place that we have a short-term issues list, things that need
Mm.
to be taken care of within 90 days, a lot of times in the next week, right? And then we've got things that, hey, these are ideas, opportunities, or things that we could do better. And we just teach our clients how to shelve those. We don't
Mm.
lose them. We just put it on the right shelf at the right time to pull it off and tackle it. So that's what
Right.
we're 100% strong in issues and learning
So,
how to solve those issues so they go away
yes.
forever.
And it sounds like there's kind of the mindset of issues are really opportunities to
Yeah.
better the business.
Yep.
And I mean, it makes total sense when you can frame it like that. You might even be looking for issues because you see it as an opportunity
Yes.
to tighten things up.
Yeah, it's so good. And I'll just share this really briefly, but there's a story that the team as they're transitioning to this like open, honest, and vulnerable team,
Mm,
because we all bring our past experiences, other teams we worked for, old bosses, how we were raised, our marriages, all the things, right? So like, I don't know, can I really be open and honest, right? And so there was a team, they would come to the leadership meetings and they would have no issues because they just weren't comfortable calling
yeah.
that out yet. And so they were told, you cannot come to the meeting unless you have 3 issues. Because they're also, to your point, areas of opportunities. It doesn't
Right.
mean you're being negative Nelly. I know it's just a way to say, no, we want your buy-in. Like, we can make this even better. So that's a lot of fun of getting people to see that as opportunities. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Next, we've got process.
Yeah. And process is sort of like data. People are either really geeked out and they're like,
Yeah.
finally, everybody's going to listen to me and do it how I said they should be doing it. Or others are like, that's so corporate. Do you know? Like,
Mm,
there's just like this shift that sort of happens. But the beautiful thing about processes, the way that we do it within an EOS system, is 20% of what we do gets us 80% of the results. That is
yeah.
customer satisfaction, team satisfaction, even revenue. And sometimes we get so overwhelmed. And there's always somebody on the team that oversimplifies.
Mm,
They're like, well, just go out and do it, right? And someone
mhm.
else who over complicates, and they're like, we need a 750 SOP manual that nobody's going to read. Okay. So what we do is we say, hey, we just want to systemize, think checklist to document your process. And the whole point is that it doesn't matter what crew is out there, doesn't
Mm,
matter if it's residential, commercial, doesn't matter. Every client is getting the exact same 5-star Google review service. And if you're not doing that, your process is it's not worth the paper it's written on, right? That's what we're going for, that it's followed by all, that it's doable, and we don't make room that we have to help people with common sense, if that makes sense, right?
it makes a ton of sense. And
Yep.
even kind of some of the notes that I'm looking over, this is what allows your business to be scalable.
It
Talk
is.
about that. Like, you've got to have this in place if you want to go somewhere in your business.
Yep. This is one of the biggest bottlenecks
Mm,
that entrepreneurs face, because they say, hey, I can't go on vacation because my team doesn't know how to put out fires, or
that's
something
right.
comes up. And I'm like, okay. And of course, my brain is like matrixing all the 6 key components. And I'm like, oh, it's a process issue. It's a right people, right seat issue, right?
Mhm.
But this process, once you go from being that business owner that you work in the business all the time and you basically bought yourself a job, to
Mhm.
transitioning to, no, you own a business, you can work on the business. We have to get what's in your head that made your business great to make it scalable and to make it be able to be followed by all, that it's not just dependent on you. And
That's
until that
right.
happens, you don't have a business or an asset. You have a
That's
you.
right.
You have
And
a
yeah, and you know what? Like, when I'm having conversations with other businesses or owners and stuff, like, you usually have a process for something. Like, you're
yeah,
doing something and you're probably
yeah.
doing something over and over again. But you're right. If it only exists in one person's head, well, you can't really ever train anybody on it. You don't really have value in the business if it's literally stuck in your head and you can't put those words on paper.
And it's sort of, and we have to remember that as leaders, our job is to serve our teams, right?
Mhm.
That is our job. We are servant leaders first. And how unfair to our team, when we have not made it easy for them to succeed and to do
Mm.
it well. And we can't hold them accountable when we've set them up for failure. And we
Yeah.
don't mean to, we're just so busy working in the business. We don't realize, without us taking a step back and working on the business, we're doing such a disservice to our team and we're setting them up for
Yeah.
frustration, you know? And so when
That's
that light bulb
yeah.
goes off, it almost makes you have that permission to say, no, I got to work on my business to serve my team. Because that's most
Man,
entrepreneurs' hearts. They want to do that.
that's
They just
right.
don't realize that disconnect, that they're setting their team up for failure.
Yeah, and when you can't hold someone accountable, it's like you just keep spinning your wheels because you know that they should be doing better, but you also, as the owner, feel like you are responsible for some of their downfall because you don't really have the system. It's like this back and forth. And I speak from experience
Yes.
because I've been here.
Yes.
But it's like, you just can't get a hold of it. You want them to do better, but you don't have the system to help support
Yeah.
them. And man, you're so right. I love the way you
Yeah.
frame that out. Let's move on. Your 6th point here is traction.
Yeah.
What does that mean in this
Yeah.
whole framework?
So, when we look at our 6 key components, we have vision at the top and traction at the bottom of our 6 component wheel. And it's that way for a purpose, is
Mm,
that as we have this vision, if we're not executing on it and seeing every single person in the company executing on that vision day in and day out, it doesn't matter if it's the person we know in the home service world. If you do not answer your phone in 30 seconds, they're calling your competitor. That's just the way
mm,
that works. Even if they've left you a voicemail, right? And so we know one of our data measurables is, okay, 30 seconds. How do we get this phone answered, right? Whether that's hiring someone, outsourcing, doesn't matter. We're going to solve this issue. And the traction component gives you these opportunities to bring that discipline down to the ground week in, week out. And so maybe it's a phone issue. Well, guess what? Part of our traction component is those weekly level 10 meetings that we're
mm,
talking about issues as they pop up, right? And really being able to move to a quarterly world that we know when we set up our 1-year plan. What are we going to crush in 1 year? We've got 4 opportunities, 4 quarters,
mm,
4 90-day periods to move the needle to get those as yeses. And so your traction component is your meeting pulse and getting rocks, which we know that
mm.
we're busy in the day in, day out. And if we don't make time to do those big projects, whatever you want to call them, that move the needle, if we don't prioritize those, they're never going to get done. And they stay on our to-do list for 5 years. Right. And
Right,
we just don't
right.
move the needle. And it's why we get these feedback from our clients that say, wow, we have done more in even the first 60 days with, you helping us than we have done in 5 years trying to accomplish the same. And really,
Wow,
it's just about helping them prioritize and know where all the pieces fit,
that's right.
really. And so that's the big traction component of what 100% strong looks like, is you're crushing discipline and accountability day in and day out.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. So we've talked about those 6 components. I want to move us just back up the vision just for a moment.
Yeah.
Because it starts off there. It starts with your own values that become the core values of the
Yeah.
business. And in an effort to keep people from looking over at their neighbor's paper and
Yeah.
stealing their neighbor's core values, do you have any tips on how you identify what that is? What I
Yeah.
have found is that sometimes people have a difficult time figuring out what their values are,
They
right?
do. They do. And so what's so fun is even when I'm in session with my clients, because we do like on average 5 sessions a year, all day sessions with our clients to get them
Mhm.
out of the business and let's be off site. Let's work on our business. And, we do give examples. So it's great to read examples. And then I'm like, okay, close your books. This is not an open book test, right? And so what we do is we actually look at people on your team. We discover your core values because they're already there in your company. Give me some names of people on your team that you're like, I wish I had 100 of them. And then we just
Yeah.
go through and say, okay, why? What makes them so incredible? And so we just, messy work on a whiteboard, like write them all out in chicken scratch and say, okay, our core values are here.
Yeah.
These people that you want 100 of, okay, let's suss out 3 to 7 that we say,
Mhm.
this is how we want to be held accountable, even as the owner, like, yes, this is who we are. So it's a really fun exercise for sure, because they're there. You've got the
Yeah.
people there. We just
That's
discover them.
yeah, I love that. I mean, that's some, after someone watches this, you can literally go do that
100%.
and
Yep.
start brainstorming. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. So let's talk about what's the biggest piece of advice you have for entrepreneurs if you're going to
Yeah.
break it down to something that you feel is really powerful. What's the advice that you're going to give?
I would say know what your why is. When we're helping do this vision and we're doing our core values, core focus, marketing strategy, 1, 3, 10-year planning, um, know what you want. Like, know
Mhm.
what your why is. Why did you start this? And don't let anyone rob you of that or talk you out of it,
Yeah.
because that is your unique ability. It's how you're uniquely made. And just be confident in that. And just get back to the basics of what you want and not what people tell you you should want.
Right.
And
You
then
know,
build it from there, including the life you want.
it's kind of the
Including the
idea
life you
that
want.
you can't always share your big dreams with everyone, right? Because not everybody in your life can dream big
Yep.
and has the capacity to support your big
Yep.
dreams. But no, you're right. I mean,
Yep.
you figure out your own reason as to why you're doing this, and then you kind of work backwards and can kind of create a plan based on,
Yeah.
what's really on your heart and what you're
Yeah.
going for in life.
I have, and I know we're closing up here, but I just, it was so powerful. I recently did a 2-day annual with a client and just resetting their next year and just their
Mm.
vision and so much fun stuff. And one of the things that she said is that she had a past team member who's no longer with them. And she just kept telling her, why can't you be happy at 1 million, 2 million? And this entrepreneur actually isn't dollar driven at all, but because of what she does is helping people get freedom in their health. Her point was like,
Mm.
I need to reach more people to set them free on their health to live their best life. So it wasn't about revenue for her. It was
Right.
about helping as many people as she could. And that was important to her. And that was her why. And so that's also how we know if we have the right team members that can embrace that same vision. And in that
Yeah.
situation, it wasn't. And that team member, it had to be a hard call that they're not on the team anymore. And it was
Yeah.
peacefully done. But EOS works in that of like, hey, what's your why? Surround your people, surround yourself with people that are like, yeah, let's do it. Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Can your why change? What if you start out early
Yeah,
on with one why?
absolutely.
What
Yep.
does that look like? So your why can evolve, right?
It totally can. And it's why, every year doing those 2-day annuals, we reset that, right?
Yeah.
But then we have to make sure that it's not just the owner's why that has changed in their head. We have to communicate that to the team. So sometimes I'll get an owner that, they've been really involved in the business and like, okay, in 3 years, I want to go to the owner's box. Like,
Mm.
great, your why sort of changed. You want to be able to take off in the busiest season of July with your family because your kids are older. You're like, I want to spend time with them. Great.
Yeah.
Your why sort of changed. Totally have permission to do that. We just need to make sure that we communicate that with our team so
Yeah.
that they can support you and you can support them. Because sometimes your team members change in even the role that they want. Same thing. We got to talk about that and get them in the
Sure.
seat that they want in the season they're in. Yeah.
Okay. So if someone's listening to this and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is what I've been waiting for in
All
life.
the things.
This is it." Where does someone start? I mean, we've talked about a handful of things. I know we
Yeah.
haven't gone super deep, but how do you start? Where's what's the first
You
step?
know, the first step, honestly, is reaching out to me for me to get you free resources.
Mm.
Start reading the book Traction. There's an easier version as well. If people are like, I just want the audio version, it's called Get a Grip, which is a
Okay.
fable version of companies implementing EOS. So that's like the car, reading or listening rather. But just reaching out to me, I have a hope first core value. So it doesn't matter if you just decided today you want to start a painting company and you're listening to this, or you're at $5 million and you're like, where the heck has this been? Reach
Yeah.
out. I'll meet you where you're at, get you the resources to help you baby step
This
for free
yeah.
with just, let me just help you. Yeah.
This is amazing. What is the best way for someone to reach you? And by the way, when this gets published to the PCA site, Overdrive, we'll make sure we've got all the links. But just tell us in case
Yeah.
someone's just listening, they don't have access. How can someone reach you and connect and get going with EOS?
Yep. If they jump on the website leadingtoscale.com, it has all the information about me, how to connect about EOS, book on my calendar, free resources. There's free organizational checkups on there. If you're like, before I talk to anyone, let me just see how I feel like I'm doing. It's 20 questions just to see how you're doing in these 6 key components. Lots of free resources on there at leadingtoscale.com.
Very good. We love free resources. As a matter of fact, one of my favorite words is the F word. Free.
That's right. That's right.
Free. No, that's amazing. And listen, guys, we're going to be partnering with Renae. She's just full of information. I mean, you got me all fired up here. I'm ready to dig in right now. So last question for you. I told you this time was going to go fast, and certainly it has. I will definitely have you back on here and we will build this out a bit more. But you work with entrepreneurs. You're an entrepreneur yourself. What do you do to take care of yourself so that you can keep showing up for all of us business owners, so you can show up for your family, so you can show up for yourself? What does it look like to take care of Renae?
Run my practice off of EOS. As simple or as salesy as that might be, it's like reality. I go through the same thing, like, okay, what are my priorities? What did I say I was going to do in a year? How am I getting off track? Weekly IDS of those issues. But because, when I'm working with clients, it's 8-hour sessions. I mean, so I've got to bring a lot, obviously. My health is a big deal. So just making sure that I'm making wise choices and being in charge of my time. So it means that before a session day, even if it's just a walking pad, it doesn't matter. But I'm doing something to move my body, strengthen, and, make the right choices and even how I eat, but also to live my best EOS life. That, I get to help entrepreneurs. I want to live my best life. So making sure that I put on my calendar first plans with who is important to me, which is my husband. Will be married 30 years in December. We have a son, daughter-in-law, and 2 grandgirls who are 3 and 5. And you better believe that part of me serving my clients and my family is that I have to make sure I'm taking those same clarity breaks that I tell my clients of like, okay, are you getting enough sleep? Are you having enough downtime and quality relationship time? So it is living my best EOS life, following that same framework and having accountability partners in my life for my health, for all the aspects of my life. And I've got some other EOS implementers that are those for me. And we keep each other in check so that we can show up for our clients and family well.
Very good. This was wonderful. I'm actually sad that it's ending. I'm sad that it's ending. Yeah, we will be back together soon. And as a matter of fact, Renae will be presenting on the main stage at Women in Paint. By the time this episode comes out, our event might be over with, but we're going to make sure you can get all that content. So check us out, Women in Paint event. Follow us, PCA. Check us out on the Women in Paint Facebook page. You can connect with Renae there. I think she's got some goodies she's going to be putting on the Facebook page over the next couple weeks. And Renae, once again, thanks for joining me. You're amazing. I can't wait to meet you in person. And until next time, that's right. Until next time. Hey, in the meantime, get the book Traction, check it out, and start learning. We will see everybody here next time on the next